Hi, welcome to Better Life, a channel that shares knowledge for comprehensive self development through books. Looking back over time, I know you've been working really hard. Endless work, after hours classes, social activities. It's inevitable to encounter moments of frustration and heartbreak. Perhaps you've often felt tired and thought, I don't want to do this anymore. You know you don't like your current job, but next month's food bills, the following month's rent, aging parents, and young children. These reasons don't allow you to quit. When we hear encouraging words like follow your dreams, do what you love, we feel immensely motivated. But afterward, everything becomes a sea of ambiguity because many people truly don't know what they love to do, or if that dream is even worth pursuing. As a result, many people punch in and out every day, waiting for the time to go home, working just to get the job done and receive a salary. Such repetitive days make you tired. So, how can we escape from that boredom? How can we, even as ordinary people, make our lives meaningful and worth living? For this most challenging question in life, a 90-year-old woman offered an answer. That woman is Nakamura Suneko, the author of the book I want to share with you today, The Worth of Life. The original Japanese title roughly translates to The Habit of Reconciling with the Heart and Doing Things Well. Nakamura Suneko is the oldest practicing psychologist in Japanese history. She was born in 1929 and worked diligently for 70 years. And even at the age of 90, she has no intention of stopping. She is not a famous professor, nor has she ever published any papers. In fact, she is quite ordinary by many people's standards, and some might even think she has no right to publish a book. However, it is precisely her ordinariness that makes this book special. To be honest, before reading this book, I was worried it might be just another chicken soup for the soul. But after reading it, I was completely surprised. I realized that from an elderly woman who had lived through the dust of war and the changes of an era, there is still so much profound wisdom about life to learn. Nakamura wrote this book based on 90 years of life experience. The Worth of Life is like a small philosophy book about how to live, offering sincere advice about work, relationships, and happiness. It helps you navigate difficult phases of life and, in the end, recognize that, no matter what, you can live a meaningful and worthy life. Working for money is natural, and there's nothing shameful about it. As the old saying goes, man dies for wealth, birds die for food. However, whether the outcome of working for money is positive or negative depends on our attitude and mindset. Nakamura was born in rural Japan into a family of 5 siblings. Her father was an ordinary elementary school teacher. Because the family had many children, not all could afford to attend university. Like many other families, the favoritism and special treatment from parents were often directed toward sons. As a daughter, Nakamura didn't have the right to choose her own path in life. At the age of 16, she had only 2 choices: get married or fend for herself. At that time, Japan was facing a shortage of psychologists, and her uncle, who ran a clinic in Osaka, offered to sponsor her education if she chose to become a psychologist. Nakamura saw this as her only opportunity to continue her education without having to enter the workforce early, so she decided to leave her hometown for Osaka. She passed the university entrance exams, completed her studies, and became a psychologist. However, choosing to become a psychologist wasn't driven by passion or interest, but simply because she couldn't turn down the opportunity life had offered her. Deep down, she didn't enjoy the work, but she had to continue to provide for herself and her family. What's more, she didn't know what else she could do besides this job. Her life was full of contradictions and inner turmoil. In contrast, her 2 younger brothers had an easier life. They received financial support from their parents, got to work in jobs they enjoyed, and earned high salaries. Confronted with this disparity, Nakamura felt both resentment and helplessness. In reality, many of us find ourselves in a situation similar to Nakamura's. We don't like our jobs, but we have to rely on them for survival. Not everyone knows what they truly enjoy right after high school. You graduate, find a job, work through hardships, and after a while, you may realize that the job you're in isn't right for you. There is no perfect job in this world. Every job comes with its own set of pressures that we can't avoid. Perhaps to secure a deal, you must smile and bow, facing the most demanding customers. To keep a stable job, you may have to endure rush hour commutes in all kinds of weather, without taking a day off, even when you're sick. Every job has aspects that make us unhappy. However, when pushed to the extreme, we might suddenly feel relieved. Nakamura quickly realized that if we dwell too much on the purpose of our work, it will only make us more frustrated and miserable. Instead of thinking this way, she told herself, I'm only working to make a living. There's nothing wrong with working for money. It's entirely natural. For over 70 years as a psychological counselor, Nakamura heard countless complaints from patients who felt tired and unhappy with their jobs. But the truth is, they didn't understand the essence of work. The primary purpose of work is to support yourself and your family. We spend more than half of our lives working. If we set expectations too high or view our work too heavily, it's easy to feel disappointed and anxious. When we become tied to things like salary, status, recognition, and prestige, we get caught in a cycle of stress. Eventually, this stress will consume us, and we will be overwhelmed by our jobs. Nakamura advises us not to place too many expectations on our work. Whether you're new to a job or have been working for years, don't worry too much about whether the task at hand suits you. Instead, focus on doing it well first. If you constantly think, this job isn't for me, it will only increase your anxiety and make you feel less inclined to continue. So, whatever task you face, maintain a mindset of trying it out. Don't give up too soon. See it as an opportunity to refine yourself. Even if you can't love your job, at least remove the thought of hating it and strive to do your best. Before turning 88, Nakamura was still working 6 days a week, and she was busy every single day. Many people thought she was passionate about her work, but that wasn't the case. In her 20s, she worked to support herself. After getting married, her job became the foundation of her family's life, so she continued working. She spent decades with this mindset, and over time, work became a part of her life. It allowed her to flow gently with the current of life. She never felt exhausted from not having an ideal job. In life, the odds of finding a job you love are as slim as winning the lottery. Instead of constantly worrying, I haven't found the perfect job yet, it's better to focus on doing your current job well. Who knows? One day you might find a more suitable job. In truth, the key to making life meaningful, whether it's exciting or dull, lies entirely in whether or not you can reconcile with yourself. When faced with fate and no other options, it's best to accept and find joy in your work, and to be enthusiastic about your career. Remember, we don't work to seek validation. Work is simply a means to earn a living and continue experiencing life. When you reach the age of 70 or 80, you will realize that success and failure, glory or decline are like passing clouds. They do not define your worth. There are far more important things than those, such as family, health, and inner peace. If you have food on the table, clothes on your back, a shelter to protect you, and a job to support yourself, then that is enough. Give your best effort at work without seeking recognition, because wonderful things may come along on the next steps of your journey. Sometimes you must firmly decide to leave. In reality, many people are trying to maintain their current situation, thinking, I'm not young anymore. How can I quit now? I have aging parents, young children. I must keep going. Concerns about the next job or whether they can find something better often lead people to abandon the idea of change. But Nakamura advises that if you can't change the situation, work happily and give it your best. However, if you're too exhausted and have the option, then decisively walk away. Among her patients, there were people who were bullied at work, those harassed by superiors, and some who barely had time to sleep because they worked until midnight. What's surprising is that even when they were physically and mentally drained, they still didn't dare to quit. If your job environment overwhelms you and your health is suffering, don't hesitate. Step away at the right time. Ultimately, the nature of work is to earn a living. Companies and institutions provide the tools for you to make money. But if these tools are weighing down your precious life, then they're not worth your time. However, there's something I want to emphasize to you. As mentioned many times before, a lot of people advise following your dreams and doing what you love. But that doesn't mean you should blindly chase your emotions. You can only truly make a proactive choice when you have fully prepared and are ready to take responsibility for the outcomes of your decisions. If you quit your job without knowing where your food and rent money will come from next month, or if you decide to leave your current job to open a business without having enough capital and need to take out loans with interest, then you are not adequately prepared. As pointed out in the book Side Hustle, the way to prevent work from becoming a chain that binds your life is to manage yourself like a business. Don't be too quick to leave your main job. If you consider it from a business perspective, quitting without a plan is extremely risky. A company cannot rely on just one product as its sole source of income. Usually, a company will have a stable source of revenue and then use that income to develop other products. The same applies to managing yourself. Your salary is the stable income of your personal company. You should take good care of that income, and only after ensuring stability should you consider developing a second source of income or saving money to eventually pursue a new job or business opportunity. That's why having the courage to free yourself from your current job can be a motivating force to change your life. But you need to take responsibility and be prepared before making that decision. Otherwise, embrace your present situation with contentment. Any job can provide you with money, but no job can truly wear you down. The only thing that can drain you is your own mind. Don't strain yourself. Instead, relax and go with the natural flow. In Yuki Takahashi's book, Life Doesn't Need Too Much Effort, there's a poignant quote. The two most common regrets in life are not doing what you could have and having exerted too much effort. Effort is crucial for success, but too much of it can be counterproductive. The author, who lived for over 90 years, found that a gentle, flowing approach allowed her to fully experience life. How can you navigate life's currents effortlessly without straining yourself? According to the author, first, discard unnecessary baggage. Ban Nakamura suggests that expectations are the first type of baggage to shed. Excessive expectations on yourself only push you to meet those demands, often stemming from admiring someone else's life or comparing yourself to others. A psychologist once shared that many people who seem successful on the outside often harbor unspoken pain. For example, a wealthy business owner might be physically and emotionally drained, or a woman with a seemingly perfect family might suffer from insomnia due to jealousy from friends. Those who appear to have it all often deal with complex personal pressures. Money and status don't eliminate life's challenges. Instead of comparing yourself with others and pushing yourself to meet these external standards, accept your current circumstances and follow your own rhythm. Nakamura believes that everyone has their own path, and true satisfaction in life comes from not being swayed by others' opinions. In the book, The Courage to Be Disliked, it is emphasized that whether we move ahead or lag behind is less important than continuously moving forward without competing with others. True value lies in surpassing oneself. In addition to letting go of expectations you have for yourself, you should also release expectations you place on others. Unrealistic expectations lead to discontent, anxiety, and suffering. To live a meaningful life, embrace simplicity, let go of unnecessary expectations, and accept solitude. By learning to be alone, you will truly understand how to connect with others. You may think, if only my parents treated me better. Why doesn't my child listen to me? Or why does he behave that way? These kinds of desires will only cloud your mind. At the age of 27, Nakamura quickly got married through an arranged match. However, after living together, she discovered that her husband was an alcoholic. Whatever money he earned, he spent on himself, while she had to take on the responsibility of supporting the family. In her time, divorce was rare, and children with divorced parents were often criticized. For the sake of her children's happiness and her own mental well-being, Nakamura had no choice but to adjust her mindset. She lowered her expectations of her husband, hoping that as long as they could stand together and make speeches at their children's weddings, they would still be considered a married couple. After setting this goal, she was able to completely let go and felt a sense of relief. In Nakamura, you will see a patience that is different from endurance. She explained that life often requires patience. Once you understand this truth, you no longer just try to endure, but instead find ways to make yourself more comfortable. When her second son turned 5, Nakamura returned to work at the hospital and relied on her parents to help care for her children. But once her parents took control of the household, many issues began to arise. The way the children were educated was up to the grandparents, and they even allowed Nakamura's younger brother, who was still in college, to live with them. This led to ongoing conflicts between her and her parents. She was overwhelmed by work, and her family life was chaotic. If expectations were set too high, everyone would feel exhausted. At that point, Nakamura could only lower her expectations and set limits for herself. In the worst-case scenario, simply reaching an average level of success was enough. She didn't expect her children to be raised perfectly, didn't aim for her career to be exceptional, and didn't hope for harmony between her parents and husband. She simply sought for everything to be at an average level and allowed the rest to flow naturally. In the end, this difficult period passed. After 10 years, Nakamura became an excellent psychologist, and her children grew up well. Later, when her children got married and had their own families, her husband became kinder as he aged and eventually became a loving grandfather. Indeed, we all wish for harmony between husband and wife, a happy family, delicious meals 3 times a day, and peace throughout the 4 seasons. However, the life of an ordinary person is rarely like that. It is often unstable and full of chaos. Faced with this reality, we cannot resist it, but can only go with the flow by lowering our expectations and not making things harder for ourselves, nor forcing others. The law of the world is that when you aim for the top, you only reach the middle. When you aim for the middle, you only reach the bottom. And when you aim for the bottom, you may get nothing. When expectations are not met, greed, anger, and delusion arise. Therefore, stop expecting too much and let go of illusions that everything will go your way. This is the wisdom to live a meaningful and authentic life. To easily let go of the burden called expectations, the best approach is to live with fewer desires and embrace solitude. Nakamura did not pursue anything beyond the basics of life. She dressed neatly and modestly without carrying expensive bags or wearing luxurious accessories. She did not chase after gourmet food or indulge in shopping. She said, "If you and your family are healthy, full of energy, and you have a close friend to talk to, you won't need anything more extravagant." After living through many years of life, Nakamura came to understand that no environment or person can satisfy you 100%. Even if you enter what you consider the most ideal workplace, after a while, there will still be things that make you feel disappointed. Or even when you marry someone you consider perfect and make you happiest, there will eventually be things you find difficult to accept. The reality is that whether it's parents, family, friends, or a lover, people do not always care about us. Even a child whom you love deeply will eventually become independent and start their own life when they grow up. And even someone you love wholeheartedly may leave you. So, with everyone you meet in this life, remember that the best way to get along is to enjoy the moments when they are present and let go when they leave. In the book 6 Lectures on Solitude, it says, "Solitude is the beginning of a complete life." If you have no experience being on your own, you will not know how to harmonize with others. The idea of letting go of burdens may make you feel insecure and afraid of being alone. But once you embrace solitude, you will no longer expect too much from others. With fewer desires, you will stop comparing yourself to others. In this way, your life will be less bound and you will be able to live freely, in harmony with yourself and those around you. No matter what you encounter, everything is worthwhile. One of the quotes that stayed with me from this book is, "Life is a journey that moves forward and never turns back. Therefore, be grateful for every scene you witness along the way." This is also a life lesson I have gathered over many years. Be thankful for everything that comes and goes in your life. When you live with gratitude, no matter how exhausting or discouraging your job may be, you will appreciate each moment. Be thankful that this stable job allows you to sustain your life. As Haruki Murakami once said, "You must remember those who held an umbrella over you in the heavy rain, those who silently hugged you in the dark, those who made you laugh, and those who stayed up talking with you all night." Whether it was someone who cared deeply for you or just a stranger, you will remember what they did for you. You will recall their presence and contributions because they helped you continue to experience life, whether those experiences were bitter or sweet. At that point, you will no longer sigh at difficulties, but will instead thank those challenges for sharpening your will. Nakamura believed that everything has 2 sides. Painful experiences are meant to expand the human character, much like how muscles need to be exercised and stretched. The rewards of life do not appear immediately, but in every moment, there is always something to appreciate. Be grateful for life without expecting anything from it. By doing so, you will realize that this life is worthwhile, and we are living a truly meaningful life. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to catch the newest videos every week. Once again, thank you and see you in the next video.